This is my story, a journey built on challenges, fueled by persistence, and defined by moments that shaped who I am today. It hasn't always been easy, but every step, every setback, every victory has led me here. This is more than just my past. It's the path that continues to drive me forward. I wasn't born into perfection. I was born into lessons. This is my life, raw, unfiltered, and real. A story about struggle and finding purpose in my journey. It's time to get uncomfortable. My name is Kevin Thomas. My mother was born in 1924, Clauselle Driscoll Thomas. She was 48 when she had me. I have 5 brothers and 1 sister. Come from very humble beginnings. My mother was a housekeeper. She made $25 a day cleaning houses. Saw her walk 2 blocks every day to catch a bus to go to work. She was a hard-working woman, praying woman. I'm here today because of her prayers. All of my blessings that I have, everything that I've gone through, her prayers have been answered. She was a praying woman. Oh, it's an amazing person. She would give anyone the shirt off her back. When people in my family needed somewhere to stay, they came and stayed with us. She was just such a great individual. Always smiling, always happy. Just a really great woman. She had a 3rd grade education, but she worked 6 days a week to provide for my family, for me. I have 5 brothers and 1 sister. They were pretty much grown and gone as I was growing up. My brother Dwayne was still in the house. Spent a lot of time with him. My uncles played a huge role in helping raising me. They stood in the gap, for my mother and helped provide for me, not just, material stuff, but they were there for me, providing life lessons. And at the time when all of this is happening, I didn't know. Never forget my Uncle James, who I love dearly. Rest in peace, Uncle James. Boy, he used to get a lot of work out of me. And I used to go to his house on Saturdays and wash his trucks and cut his grass, along with my cousin Ronald. Run is what we call him. And then at the end of the day, he would pay us like $5. Take us to McDonald's and get us a Big Mac. But the lesson in that was hard work. The lesson in that was showing up every day. The lesson was, is this what you want to do for the rest of your life? And all of this stuff was happening, and it just really brought me, and I learned so much at that time. My family, it was a bunch of kids of us growing up. We call it down the road, the down the road gang. Ron, Reggie, my Philip, PJ, my nephew, my niece Nicole, Carlos, Anthony. We would meet down the road every day. I lived down the road. I lived right directly across the street from my grandmother. All of our family was right there close in all the same community. When my grandmother got really sick, we moved in with her right across the street. I never forget the morning that my grandmother passed away. I was in her room, sleep, and then my mother woke me up and kind of told me and gave me the bad news that my grandmother had passed away, which was the anchor of our family. So growing up was amazing. We would ride our bikes from Tomonville all the way to the mall, which was like 20 miles away. I had no business driving these bikes and going down these streets and highways and just having fun, but we didn't care. Long as we were at home before the street lights came on, that's all that mattered. And we had fun. We enjoyed each other's company. We played hopscotch. We played hide and go seek, football in the streets, two-hand touch. I mean, you name it. We did all of that stuff. It was so much fun growing up and being in that environment and around those people who was just poured into me so much. It made so many sacrifices to help me and to help my mom and help me, overcome things. And I didn't realize I was poor until I started kind of branching out and started, seeing other things and how other people lived, which is okay, because I knew my mother was a hard worker and she was a provider. Didn't really have a relationship with my father. My older brothers had more of a relationship with my father than I did. He took them fishing, spend time with him. I don't have a whole lot of memories of us, spending time together, and doing things together. So it shaped me in a way of trying to figure it out, like why. But at the same time, I had my uncles there. My brothers was there. My sister Gail was there. My brother-in-law Philip was there. I had all these people around me that was pouring into me, and that was picking up the slack from that relationship that I had a void in my life. My mother passed away in 1991. I'll never forget. I was off at orientation at college. And came home. At the time, I had moved in with my sister because my mother was in the hospital. She passed away of pancreatic cancer. She got really sick. Her eyes turned yellow. And she had yellow jaundice, and that's kind of how we kind of started figuring out something was wrong with her. So she went to the hospital and started going through all these tests. She was diabetic. And they went in to get the cancer that was on her pancreas. They had to cut out half of her pancreas. Well, she was a diabetic, so that means everything's got to work even harder now on her body. So we went through that, and she had several surgeries. And really, what happened was, every time she would have her surgery and a procedure, they were sewing her up with the cotton thread. Remember, this is 1990. The medical stuff has come so far nowadays. But they had to go back into her so many times to stop the bleeding because she kept bleeding. And what happened was the enzymes in her body was eating away the thread. So by the time the doctors and the medical people figured out, we need to use silk thread, it was too late. But I came home that day, and that's when I got the news from my brother-in-law and my sister, and man, she was gone. And it's go time. Now, because it's just, I'm trying to figure all this stuff out. My sister's been there for me. So many people have been there for me, but that relationship changed from a sibling to now trying to provide structure and discipline in my life that I really didn't have as much growing up as a child. It was more so I just did everything that I felt like I needed to do to keep the stress and pressure off my mom, because I wanted her. I needed her to be here. She was my best friend. She was gone now. So now I got to I'm trying to figure all this out. And things got pretty tough. Struggling financially, trying to figure out the whole school thing, and trying to, move throughout life, and at the same time make her proud. And things went well. I did okay. My first daughter was born, Amber Clausell Thomas. Just such an amazing young lady, man. She is, like, my kids changed my life. They really, really did. She changed my life, my first daughter, because she gave me focus and purpose and a drive that I never had. I got to live my life for someone else. So it was really important for me now to take care of her. And that's what I did. I took care of her, and it was time for me to step up in life and step up as a man and do the right things. Again, with not a whole lot of structure and knowing how to do this, because at that point in my life, I felt like I can do it all on my own. I don't need anybody's help. I figured this thing out. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. My son, Austin, was born soon after Amber was born. Austin was born. Now I got these two wonderful, amazing kids, and I'm trying to provide for them. And, I spend so much of my time trying to provide that I really wasn't the father that I need to be, because I've come from such humble beginnings and didn't really have anything. I wanted to make sure that I showed up for them from a financial standpoint. Like, I wanted to make sure that I'm providing for them and giving them things that I felt like that I missed and that I didn't have. I wasn't able to show up for the basketball game or the football game for my son or stuff that my daughter was participating in. But, I felt like I was doing my job because I was providing and buying football cleats and paying the fees and all this other stuff. And in the meantime, I'm missing out on what I should be doing, and that's being there for them. The order in my life was screwed up. It was where it's supposed to be: God, family, and then your career. For me, it was just my career. And, that's all I knew from my 20s, my late 20s to my 30s, and even to my mid 40s. All I did and I spent my time was just chasing career, chasing money, chasing the bag is what we call it nowadays. Trying to provide for my family, trying to provide for, the people in my life, trying to provide for myself and change my life. And by doing all of that, I kind of got caught up because, it's this career and this job just kind of started to kind of create a monster in me. Didn't have a problem being held accountable from a professional standpoint, but in my personal life, it was zero accountability. So yeah, it was okay. I go out, work 10, 12 hours a day. I'm running, I'm working hard, doing everything I need to do to build the business off the ground, and just thinking about, what's important, is it the money? You know what I mean? And that's what I was focused on. Traveling, having some really super cool experiences in life. Going to the Masters on a private plane, going to football games, sitting in skyboxes, entertaining clients, going to the Super Bowl every year. I felt like because I worked hard Monday through Friday, then it's time for me to go have fun. It's time for me to live my life. Instead of in that free time or the time that I had when I wasn't working, pouring into my kids and my family, like my uncles and my brother and my brother-in-law and my sister did for me growing up. I was pouring my energy and efforts into other things. My diet consisted of, scotch and beer and cigars and wine. And the more things I got exposed to in life, and the more things I just started to pick up a lot of unhealthy habits. That wasn't good. And I can look back at it now, and I look back at some of the pictures that I took and some of the stuff that I was in. I'm seeing like, man, I was overweight. I think at one point in my life, the heaviest I was 295 pounds. So, and all the signs were there. I'm having this very unhealthy behavior. I picked up so many unhealthy behaviors of diet, wasn't exercising, just spending my time just working and running, chasing the bag, instead of having God and family. It was work, 6-7 days a week sometime, whatever it is I felt like that I needed to do to kind of keep moving the needle and keep challenging myself every day. I consider myself so blessed because very early in my life, I found my niche. Like my brother-in-law Philip would say, it's like, Kevin, you found your niche. And some people go a lifetime and are miserable and going to work. And I was going to a job and working for a company who appreciated me, who showed value, gave me value, provided for me, helped provide for my family, gave me all these resources, and gave me a lot of exposure, and opened up a lot of doors and put me in a lot of rooms that I never would have been in. I never would have had the opportunity to be in. And I'm in these rooms and I'm just sitting and learning and watching. I always believed that I never was the smartest person in the room, but you're not going to outwork me. I'm going to be that guy showing up at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to be that guy on the weekend building relationships with those retailers, doing whatever I had to do to win. Very competitive. I love to compete. No one's going to outwork me. I don't care. You will not outwork me. So I'm going through all of this and, just living this, what I thought was just an amazing life of just traveling, having fun, eating, experiencing all of this very cool stuff, that I'm just a kid from down the road, St. Charles Avenue, Mobile, Alabama, and I'm skiing in Steamboat Springs, Colorado every winter with my colleagues. I'm thinking like, man, what a life. Isn't this cool? And, like, wow, just a really cool life. And I'm experiencing all this stuff, and where's my family? Right? They're on the sidelines. And they just, it wasn't a focus for me at that time in my life. So I'm going through things and having fun and living this life. And then it's like, okay, I get an opportunity to move and advance through the organization. And I take a step and I move from Mobile to Birmingham to run a department inside our organization. And I'm running this department. And 2019 comes. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't feeling well. I've been sick before. But this time when I got sick, I wasn't getting any better. Right? I just wasn't getting any better. And a week went by, 2 weeks went by. I said, I'm not getting any better. Let me go see my doctor. Went and saw my doctor, and she was like, oh, Kevin, this is what's going on with you. The diagnosis wasn't, like, oh, okay, well, go home, take this, pick it up, you'll be fine. That didn't work. It didn't work. And I still wasn't feeling well at all. Bad. So I'm feeling bad. Went back to the doctor again. I actually happened to be down in Mobile working. So I went to the hospital down there, went to the emergency room and said, I'm not feeling well. Like, okay, well, your potassium is low. So, they ran some tests on me and gave me some potassium through IV. It was like, okay, cool, here you go. Left there, and I struggled driving back from Mobile to Birmingham to get back home. And I'm like, man, this is bad. Like, it's not getting any better. So one night, I said, I'm gonna go to the emergency room and kind of see again, because something's wrong. So I drive myself to the emergency room, and I go in, and they start asking me all these questions, and they start running these tests on me. And about 2 hours into that, some doctor walks in, the surgeon. He walks in and he just shows me this X-ray of my heart. And what happened was, over like a 3-week time span, my aortic had erupted. And I'm walking around with this going on in my body, and it had clotted. Most people die from that, right? He was like, "Yep, you're gonna have to have open heart surgery in the morning." I would do it right now, but I don't have the people here to get it done. But first thing in the morning, we got to get this done. So I'm like, "Wow, are you serious?" Like, "Yep, this is it." So, and at the time, I got to remember my relationships that I had with my family was fractured. You know what I mean? It was all over the place. I didn't have a relationship with them. So it's like, okay, now I'm going through this, and I'm trying to process all of this in a matter of hours. And then next thing I know, some nurse is coming in. She's saving the hair off my chest. They're prepping me for this procedure. And at the time, I'm thinking, I'll be okay. It'll be fine. I'll get through it. Because I always felt like attitude, just if you have the right attitude in life, you'll be okay. And my relationship with God, I really didn't have one. I've always lived my life by the golden rule: treat people how you want to be treated. So I was God fearing. My mother went to church every Sunday. Sometime I would go to Sunday school with her. All of my aunts and family, everybody went to church. My grandfather was a preacher. So I had God in me, and I was God fearing, but I didn't have a relationship with God. And here it is, I'm getting ready to face, at the time, one of my biggest battles, one of my biggest tests, that God is finna put me through this, So I go through that procedure, and I wake up and my daughter is there. Michael is there. At the time, one of the vice presidents of my company, he was there. I woke up and everybody's kind of rallying around me and there for me, like, wow, man, I made it through this. Doctor comes in, surgery went great. You're okay. We actually had a vacation plan to go to London for the holidays. So it's like, hey, I'm still gonna be okay for this trip? Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You can still go. It's like, okay, cool. Well, we're going. Little did I know, So I go through the procedure and go through all of that, and I'm going through the healing process. Spend some time in the ICU. Then they put me in what's called the step down room and all of that, and I'm getting okay. I'm feeling okay, not really feeling back 100%, but you have a procedure like that, you think it's going to take some time before you get back to 100%. Okay, no problem. I'm a fighter. Always been. I'm an overcomer. Always been. So, okay, I'll get through it. I'll push through and I'll fight through it. And I did. For a couple of weeks. So I leave there, and they was like, okay, we're going to put you in rehab now. So I go to rehab because some things I got to learn how to do again. I got to get my strength back. So while I'm in rehab and I'm going through all of this, and my stomach was bigger than it was before the procedure. I was a big guy at the time. And I'm sitting there and my stomach is really huge. And I'm like, and we were asking questions to the staff, the medical staff, saying, hey, why is his stomach that big? They're like, oh, air got in his stomach while we did the procedure. So it eventually go down. So, me being who I am, if a doctor tells you something, then, you take your word for it. You don't challenge them. You don't push back on these medical people because, they know everything, right? So I bag up a little bit. And my whole my health decline, the reason behind it was because I had high blood pressure. I had high blood pressure. And I tell everybody that I know now, if you deal with high blood pressure, and it's prevalent amongst African American men, go buy you a blood pressure cuff. Monitor your blood pressure. Go to the doctor. Take care of yourself. Exercise, eat properly. Because what I went through could have been prevented if I was proper maintenance of exercise, diet, medication. I remember before I got sick, I went to the fire station one time because I'm looking at my blood pressure cuff and I'm like, man, this can't be right. I was like, let me go to the fire station, let them check. They're like, yeah, it's pretty high. But again, I'm ignoring those signs, right? So I'm in the rehab and my stomach's big and I'm going through all of this. And then one day in rehab, I get really sick and lightheaded and I faint. They say, well, rush me back to the hospital. So I go back to the hospital and then they start running more tests on me, trying to figure out, what's going on? Why is this guy, back here after he's had this very complicated procedure? And it was like, we're going to put a tube down your nose to kind of help, suction some stuff out of your stomach. It's like, okay, cool, no problem. And as the nurse is putting this tube down my nose, well, I pass out. And I'm on life support for 2 weeks. So, the relationship with my family, again, is fractured. My sister, who I probably hadn't seen in a long time, talked to not often as I should have been, she's walking into this hospital room and she's seeing her little brother on life support, fighting for my life. My kids are walking in seeing, like, damn, what happened? Thought you were okay. And when I say the power of prayer is real, oh my goodness, it's real. And I thank God for the people that were praying for me. All over. I mean, it was prayer calls and people, that I never knew that was praying for me to pull through this thing. And I'm on life support for 2 weeks. And then I wake up out of that. Thank God, by the grace of God, that I'm here. And once I kind of started to realize what happened and what was going on, and when all of the doctors and my family started coming in, and to Michael and everybody starts coming in and telling me what happened, it was like when the doctor was doing my initial surgery to correct the aortic, he nipped my bowel, so which made me septic. So that's why my stomach was big like it was. And they just happened to discover this after I've gone through, all of this stuff. Most people die from being septic. I lost 10 feet of intestines. I had an ostomy bag. I was on dialysis for about 4 weeks. Yeah, I'm going through it. I had this huge hole in my stomach, the size of a dollar bill. And it was just a big, huge cut. And then nothing that we can do about it. I had a wound back on and kind of just going through the process of trying to get all of that healed. So I'm thinking like, wow, what just happened to me? I spent 4 months in the hospital from October of 2019 to February of 2020. Oh, what a tremendous time. And, again, because of me, my attitude and my outlook on life, and, it's just like trying to figure all this out. Number one, why did this happen to me? And I'm sitting in this hospital room, and if you've ever been in a hospital room and spent any time in a hospital room, the rooms are very small. They're not really big. And this is God telling me it's time to sit down. It's time to sit down. And when I was working in my professional career, I would send out these emails all the time to my colleagues or to people on the sales team. And I would always end those emails with trust the process, hashtag trust the process, right? Look what we've done. We've gone out and we've done all of this. By the way, trust the process, and it was God's way of telling me, okay, Kevin, you gonna trust the process? Do you really believe? And I had to dig deep. Those walls started to close in because I went from being this independent man, just, I got it, I can do everything on my own, to now all of a sudden I need help bathing. I need help people, cleaning me up. I need help, while I was in there, started seeing a psychiatrist because I was going through it mentally. And they did a great job. I learned how to play the keyboard. I learned how to do a lot of different stuff, and while I was in the hospital for those 4 months, at the same time trying to figure out what's going on, and sitting there just going through all of this pain, not only the physical pain, the mental pain, and I had to work on the mental recovery as well. Not just learning how to walk again, but learning how to get my mind right, and because I was very impatient, always a control freak, wanted to control every aspect of my life, right? And I always had the energy of now, right? Everything had to be done now from a professional standpoint. When it came to my job and getting the money and getting the bag and making those things happen. Now, like, okay, can that wait? Nope, it can't wait. It's like, it's got to happen now. And that's what I did. That's how I operated, right? But then it's like, okay, Kevin, all of that, now, you got to shift that. You got to shift all of that. All of this skill set that you had picked up from running this business, you need to shift that towards your personal life, and start getting your life in order, and getting things on track. So now I'm entering this phase of new beginnings, right? So it's new beginnings. And I'm trying to figure this out. And I'm going through all of this. And at the same time, I got to start repairing relationships. I got to have some humility. It's one of the messages from God. You got to humble yourself. Humility. I learned that. And I'm repairing these relationships, begging people for forgiveness, I got to show up for them. Oh, by the way, it's middle of COVID, right? So I back up. I actually caught COVID while I was in the hospital in January, sorry, of 2020. I caught COVID, but nobody knew what COVID was. And every time that I would get ready to get out of the hospital, it's like, oh, Mr. Thomas, you going home tomorrow. What? Are you serious? So excited. Nope. They'll come in the next day. Sorry, you got a fever. We got to run tests. They'll come in, get blood out of both arms. We don't know what's going on. But we can't let you go home. Like, are you serious right now? No, you can't go home. You thank God that was just him telling me it wasn't time. It just wasn't time for me to go home yet. Yeah, I needed more work. I had more work to do. Not only physical work, but mental work as well. You know, and you always hear people say when you're going through the storm, you don't know why. You just think, oh, it's just me going through it. You know, but it's a reason why you're going through the storm. And the old adage is saying of everything happens for a reason. What's the reason why all that was happening to me? You know, but at the time I couldn't wrap my head around it. Ran up a $1.4 million hospital bill while I'm in there. You know, hospitals are a business, you know. So, you know, it's their job to take care of you, get you back on your feet, and try to get you out the door and get you back home. I never forget, one day I'm walking around the hospital and one of the nurses says to me, oh, Mr. Thomas, you look good. You ready to go home? I said, don't tease me with a good time. Damn right I'm ready to go home. I think it was around time of the Super Bowl, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna go home and watch the Super Bowl on my big screen TV. Yeah, it's on. Like, let's go home. So I immediately picked up the phone and called to Michael. I'm like, you never believe they're gonna let me go home. They say I'm looking good. She said, what? She was like, hold on, I'll call you back. I'm like, all right. Time to go home. Go bring my clothes, get my shoes, bring my outfit. It's like, all right, well, okay, yeah, I'm gonna call you back. It's about 10 minutes later, these physical therapy people walk in the room and they like, hey, Mr. Thomas, you want to go home? I was like, yeah, man, would y'all here to help me pack up? And it was like, well, we're here. You got 18 flights of stairs that you got to get to your apartment. You got to make it up those stairs. I'm like, yeah. It's like, okay, well, we got some stairs out here in the hallway, the fire escape. Let's see how you do, you know, because we want you to make sure, you know, that you can make it up these stairs. So I'm like, all right, boys, let's go. Let's do it. So they get me up out the bed and I get to the first step and they let me go and I immediately fall back. They was like, man, you're not ready. You're not ready. And they took me back in my room, got me in my bed. And I called to Michael and I just started bawling, crying like a baby. And she said, yeah. She's like, you're not ready. You can't come home until you're ready. And you're not ready to come home yet. So I'm back there, back in the hospital, back in rehab. It's like, okay, it's time to go to work now. It's time to go to work. My family was my driving force for me to get back to where I needed to be. And man, it wasn't easy. But I'm walking in this rehab every day, talking to these people. They're just such amazing individuals. And they're helping me. And I'm watching all these other people that are going through things that's worse than me. Because when we go through things in life, we always think that, man, this is my life. Things are just horrible for me. And there's somebody out there going through something that's worse than what you're going through. And I physically walked in there, that rehab, 3 times a day. And I saw that, and I'm looking around saying, wow, people with amputations and just disfiguration of their faces, and we all got on masks on, and we're going through it, and we're fighting. And I'm like, man, if they can fight and they can get through this, so can I. Going back through that process while I'm in rehab and my body is healing. Well, one of the things that the nurses and the doctors told me, it was like, well, here's the deal, Mr. Thomas. You can't eat anymore. You can't eat or drink anything. I'm thinking, like, what are you talking about? It's like, no, you can't eat or you can't. We're going to feed you through your heart. I can't have water. It was like, no, can't have anything. My body was so weak that I couldn't afford to go and have another procedure done. So that hole that was in my stomach, it had to naturally heal. And that took about 8 weeks for it to happen. And every day they would come in the room and I would ask, can I eat now? Like, nope. And if you know me, you know that I love to eat. I'm a foodie. I love to eat. I love a great meal. I love to eat Mexican, pizza, steaks, red meat. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I love to eat. And I had to go 8 weeks without eating or drinking anything. Boy, did I have to lock in. Yeah, it was just very, very tough time. But I made it through. I made it through by the grace of God and a lot of prayers. And I'm going through all of this and then just trying to figure it out, And then it's like, okay, I get out of the hospital in February of 2020. And I come home and I'm like, I'm so excited to be home. To walk outside, get fresh air, that first day coming home, man, walking up them 18 steps. I'm down to 185 pounds now. None of my clothes fit. Everything's falling off of me. I didn't care. I'm home. You know what I'm saying? I done made it. You know what I'm saying? In my book, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? By the grace of God. It's a miracle that I survive aortic eruption, that deal with my heart, the being septic. Now I got an ostomy bag that I need help with, because you got to change that thing out, every 2 or 3 days, and just dealing with all of that. But at the time, I didn't care. You know what I mean? I'm here. I'll figure it out. I'm a fighter. I'm an overcomer. So, that trust the process. Yeah, we trust in it now. God brought me here. And I'm going through all of this, and I'm, again, still working on those relationships, because it's important. Of course, the time of COVID, nobody can travel, and the world shut down. So everybody's at home. And I'm at home too. But I'm at home. I'm like, I'm happy to be here. I'm so happy to be here. Like, okay, cool. We're gonna sit at home all day. I go out on the patio, and can we go? No, just okay. I'm FaceTiming, I'm Zoom calling, man, I got all the time in the world now, and I'm gonna take advantage of every day, right? So you're talking about that now energy that I had. Now the now is God. It's family. It's now. It's got to happen. Where I'm not waiting until tomorrow to pick up the phone to tell my sister that I love her. I'm not waiting till the next day or next week to pick up the phone or call my kids or spend time with them. I'm not waiting. It's now, like everything's gotta happen. Now. Like I gotta pour that energy and that effort and my time and my resources and into my family. The people that have been there for me no matter what. No matter what. These folks who are here for me by my side as I'm going through this, not judging me in any of the decisions that I made, the mistakes that I made. It was like, there's just genuine, real love, and to have that, you know what I'm saying, meant a lot. Some of the hospital visits that I got from friends, some of the phone calls, and the text messages I got from my colleagues, and like, man, people really love you. You know what I'm saying? You mean something. My kids coming to visit me in rehab, and they're there for me, helping me figure it out. And it's like, damn, had no idea, you know what I mean? The impact that I had and still have, on people's lives. So now it's time to step up. It's really time to step up and pour into them and let them know how important they are to me, and start making those memories. Start making those memories. And as I move into this chapter of my this chapter of my life now is, man, it's all about having fun. It's all about making memories. It's all about enjoying every single day that God blesses me to wake up, and showing up for other individuals and being there for them and laughing and crying. I never forget, I tell you, I was on dialysis. And if ever, I feel sorry for people that pray for people that have that has to go through dialysis, because when I was going through it, man, it sucked all the energy out of me. And I had to go like every other day. I would go in there, and had some amazing doctors that helped me, figure that whole situation out. And they were just pumping me full of fluids and IVs and stuff, because my kidneys had shut down. They didn't stop working. And I'm thinking, man, I got to go through this every day for the rest of my life and deal with this. It's like, I'll deal with it, but damn, And then one day my kidneys I started urinating. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. It was like, we're not there just yet. Let's just give it a few more days and kind of see what happens. And it's like, okay, gave it a few more days, and I'm urinating again, all this stuff that, we take for granted. And they walked in one day, it was like, all right, Mr. Stones, we got some great news for you. Your kidneys are back. Like, your numbers are good now. We can stop the dialysis. Man, I cried like a baby all day. I'm like, are you serious right now? And it was those type of victories and small wins that I had when I was in that hospital for 4 months, and I was going through all of that stuff. That just, I look back now and I'm like, yep, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're here now, you know what I mean? So there's no such thing as a bad day in my book, you know what I mean? There's bad moments, right? We all have them, but there's no such thing as a bad day. I have bad moments, and then I immediately switch, my mind flips, and like, okay, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? How are we gonna solve it? Because I'm a problem solver, right? I've always been solution based. People come to me with a problem. All right, what we're gonna do to fix it? Now we get to start thinking about the plan. And I was really good at that, especially from a professional work. But again, I had to shift that all of that energy and effort towards my personal life. It's like Michael come to me with a problem. Okay, how are we gonna fix it? And oh, by the way, it's gotta have a drop dead date. We gotta have a timeline. It's like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Now that accountability is on us, right? And that's my accountability partner. That was like, and I thank God for her because God put her in my life to hold me accountable. She was one of the first people in my life that said, all right, time out for the bullshit. Kevin, I'm gonna hold you accountable. And it's like, all right, how does that feel? What does that feel like? Felt great, and it still feels great, and it makes me step up and, and do what I'm supposed to do, and lead by example. Not just talk about it, but actually physically, get it done, man. And it's been such an amazing journey. And where I'm at right now in my life is so much fun. We have a 3-year-old, Kyler, just such an amazing kid. My son Kyle, who's off at college now, actually named him. So there's a Kyle and a Kyler, and I always get them confused. So everybody kind of have little nicknames that I give them. My daughter Amber, her name is Lou, after her grandmother because she kind of looks like her. Um, Austin, I call him AT. He's like my twin, like just a freaking spitting image. Sound like me, talk like me. It's like, dude, are you serious? It's kind of scary, being in the room with him or being around him and I'm watching his mannerisms and it's like, dude, this is crazy. You know what I mean? But such an amazing young man. Um, Kyle, I call him Leon. That's my middle name. Kevin Leon Thomas. And then my daughter, my daughter Kennedy. I call her. She goes by KT, but as she was little, she used to say Daddy Bear, Kenny Bear. So I kind of sometimes I still call her Kenny Bear or Bear. She looks, Daddy, I'm 16 now. You can't call me Bear. But she goes by KT also. I also go by KT. But these kids are they're just so amazing, man. And that love that they have for me is so unconditional. Um, and it's just an amazing thing. And we've had a lot of time. We've done a lot of traveling together and just hung out together and just spend time together and just doing what I'm supposed to do. Now it's time for me to, I'm pouring into them. And it's been really great. And it's just such at a really great place right now in my life, man. And I couldn't be happier. Working out every day, exercising, eating right, controlling my, my diet and my, my the stuff that I'm doing, just having more discipline in my life, and more structure. And just couldn't be happier.
I am the greatest.
This kid's got a left. This kid's got a right. If he hits you once, you're asleep for the night. This kid fights great. He's got speed and endurance. But if you sign to fight him, increase your insurance. Increase your insurance. I am the greatest.
Throughout this process and this journey, there's been so many people that have inspired me and that I continue to pull inspiration from my sister Gail, my brother-in-law Philip, my brother Dwayne, my cousin Ron, my uncles, and all those life lessons that these people left with me. I often find myself, I pull from that inspiration and these messages that they left for me. My mother, just never giving up. And one person who I've that's kind of been there for me throughout the entire journey that I've kind of leaned on is Muhammad Ali. Just such an amazing American icon. I mean, he meant so much and done so much. Um, his confidence, which helped me early on in my career, because I didn't have the confidence. And he instilled that, just watching him have the confidence of anything is possible. And that like really fueled me and helped me overcome some times in early on in my life, in my career, and I didn't have the confidence, but believing in getting understanding Muhammad Ali and his teachings and his confidence, man, it inspired me to be able to walk in a room and be in a room, and I may not know what I was saying or didn't have the maybe the intelligence, the knowledge at the time, but I walked in that room with confidence. I walked in that room with swagger, and I believe that anything is possible. And until this day, it's still like I can do anything that I set my mind to. So I tell people all the time, my kids, my family, my friends, my colleagues, anything is possible. Don't let anything stop you. I'm just a kid from St. Charles Avenue, Mobile, Alabama, um, who just had an opportunity, and took advantage of that opportunity, and just pushed and fought every day, and just never give up on your dreams and your aspiration. If you can dream it, you can do it. You just have to get behind it. Have that discipline, have that sacrifice. We all have these dreams and things that we want to accomplish and do with our lives. But, in order to achieve those goals, you got to put that work in. And I'm still putting the work in. I'm never giving up. Don't give up. Believe in yourself. Dream big. Nothing is impossible. And it's okay. We're all going to get knocked down in life. But get back up. Continue the fight. Continue to push forward through any obstacles. Put God first and just keep pushing and fighting, and surround yourself around the right people. I always tell my kids, if you're the smartest person in the room, find another room. It's all about getting uncomfortable. I challenge myself every day until this day. What am I going to do today to get uncomfortable? To step outside of my boundaries? What am I going to do to challenge myself? Whether that's going to a different country, eating a different food, reading a different book, walking up to someone, having a different conversation. I've been so blessed to experience so much in my life. So it's easier for me to be able to walk in a room and build that connection with people. From being well read to watching the news and understanding politics, I have a keen sense of meeting people where they're at. Listening, it's very important that we listen. Sometimes we have a tendency, everybody wants to talk. But if you just listen to people and find that common ground between you and them, and then build those relationships. Everything in my life, everything is built off of relationships. Relationship with God, relationship with people, with your family, with your spouse, with your kids, with your siblings, with your family members. It's all relationships, and you have to be able to pour into that and give and receive. Sometimes you're going to receive more than you give, and vice versa. But it's all about relationships. It's all about having discipline and sacrifice, and stepping up every day and getting uncomfortable. What am I going to do to get uncomfortable? And that's my challenge to myself, because I'm starting with myself. I'm holding myself accountable every day. What are you going to do to get uncomfortable? And then I'm looking at everybody around me, and it's going to make them uncomfortable as well. Because when you start challenging people and pushing people, things start to get uncomfortable. and then you start to have some uncomfortable conversations. But that's okay, because that's growth. That's when you know that you're growing, when things are getting uncomfortable. And that's my message to my family, to my friends, to my kids, to the world, the people that I love. Like, get uncomfortable every single day. Nothing is impossible. You can get it done. It just takes time, sacrifice, and just continue to push every single day of your life, and take advantage of being here, and have that sense of urgency of now, 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 now. It can't wait. Today, this morning, yesterday.
Yeah. This whole experience, this journey of you capturing what you wanted to do right now. So you can sit there and say something like, I'm paraphrasing here, but there was a moment where I woke up and I realized and reflected on my life and the journey that I just shared with you. And I wanted to share that with you, which is why I am doing this for you. Nobody know my story but me.
Gotcha. I appreciate you saying that. I've been saying that. I forgot all about that. Yeah.
And that's how we're going to close it out with a closing loving message to your wife and to your kids.
Okay.
You know, it don't have to be long, 30 seconds, whatever. Just, you know, I'm doing this because I reflected on my journey. And through this whole journey, all I could think about was you and what you've done for me. And so this is my dedication to you. This is how I can let you know how much you mean to me. You know?
Gotcha.
Get all that, let it flow.
Okay.
And you want him to look at the camera doing that, or look at all? Yeah, actually.
Which one? In the middle right there? Oh, this one.
This.
Right here? I'm sorry. Okay.
This one right here.
Gotcha. Okay. So, this whole process has been so amazing. I want to do this to share my experience in this journey, my journey with my wife, with my kids. This is my story. So if anybody wanted to know, well, what was my daddy like? What did he have to go through? What inspired him? And if you need some inspiration, if you ever need any inspiration, I want you to look at this. I want you to pull this out. I want you to watch it. if you ever need to be lifted up, or you feel like, man, life is coming at me, I don't know what to do, just know that it's in you. Put God first, believe in yourself, know that I love you, and I want to leave this with you so you'll have a lasting memory of me, of my journey, of when things were tough for me. Things were tough for us, but some kind of way, we figured it out. We figured it out as a family. We figured it out. And I am so proud of y'all. I know y'all are proud of me. Can't thank y'all enough for just, it's family. And that's what family is for. And we got to take care of each other. And I love y'all so much. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of this story. It's just the beginning. Just getting started.
Hey guys, this is OJ. Making this video on behalf of my near dear friend Kevin Thomas, or as everybody knows him as KT. Been knowing KT now for about 7.5 years, and in that time, I've seen a couple different layers of Kevin. I've seen the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. But with all that being said, his resilience and unwavering commitment to just being excellent, being, in our terms, being solid, is amazing, right? As a man, his integrity is unmatched. He, as a father, he's genuine as it gets. You can see the blueprint that he's creating for his kids. He's always kind, crucial, and he's always present. With his family, right? As a friend, even though when I go through my ups and my downs, Kevin is someone that I could always call on, chit chat, vent to, and things like that. And he always sees it from a perspective of, okay, this is what we're going through, but how do we get better, right? How do we constantly overcome things? I've seen him go through some health struggles, and for a lot of people, that would put them down. But for Kevin, he takes the gut punches and he moves forward, and he always has a positive outlook, and he has a positive attitude about everything that he's doing. I'm honored to be a part of this particular documentary. I appreciate him letting me speak on his behalf. And, for whoever's, hearing this, and when you're hearing this, just know that there's always going to be adversity and things that you're going to have to go through. But Kevin is the type of person that, we should all, strive to be like when adversity hits. He's again, like a brother to me. I'm the godson of his kids. He blessed me with that honor, and just, watching him with, his sons and his daughters and things of that nature, he's a model citizen of what I achieve to be once I get to that place in my life. So I appreciate you, KT, for letting me be a part of this, and love you, man, and God bless.
When I think about my dad, I think about the way he started shaping me as a leader from a really young age. He didn't just talk about leadership, he put it in front of me. I remember him giving me books to read, books about leadership and about what it meant to be a Black man in America, and the responsibility that came with it. At the time, I'll be honest, I didn't always feel like reading those books. But looking back, I realized he was planting seeds, helping me understand not just who I was, but who I could become. Along with those lessons came little things. He used to tell me, son, when you meet someone, shake their hand firm, look them in the eye, and speak with confidence. It seems simple, but those little habits shaped the way I carried myself. He was teaching me confidence wasn't just about how I felt. It was about how I showed up in the world. By the time I hit my teenage years, I started to really see how words matched his actions. My dad had unbelievable work ethic. He worked hard day in and day out, and he never made a big deal about it. No complaining, no shortcuts, just steady, consistency, and effort. Watching him showed me that leadership isn't just about what you say, it's about what you do every single day. Then came 2019, one of the toughest times for our family. My dad was hospitalized for over 6 months. But here's what I'll never forget. Every FaceTime call, every time I seen him, every picture we got from him, he was smiling. No matter what he was going through, he found a way to keep joy on his face. And that smile wasn't just for him, it was for us. It was the way of him telling us, I'm still here, I'm still fighting, and I'm still me. That's my dad. From the books he put in my hand when I was younger, to the lessons about confidence, to work ethic I watched as a teenager, and finally the resilience he showed me in the hospital. He's been teaching me all my life. And the older I get, the more I realize those lessons weren't just for then, and they were with me every single day.